Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your OBC, your original Boruto Chief, Naruto Explained here, bringing you guys the spoilers for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 24. And Kawaki stocks, they're holding steady in this chapter, but I would not hold on to them long term because Jura dropped a bombshell about Kawaki that is sure to have Damon somewhere laughing, at least until he realizes his sister has a Mamushi party to attend, and legend has it, baby oil is a requirement. Also, quick reminder, the chapter drops on the 17th this month, so in another couple of days. Since we got the leaks today, I should be able to get the audio to the editor tonight, so we should be able to drop the review on the same day as the official release. If not, it'll be the 18th, depending on how long the review is. So I thank you in advance for your patience and support, and much appreciation to Salad Bolts for getting the chapter translated, because when it comes to proper, accurate translations, that is one of the Kage level translators out there. Also, if you're into Don to Don, my new video explaining the evil eye is up on Anime Explained. It's safe for anime only fans, so check out the Anime Explained video that I'll leave linked in the description box, as well as in the end credits of this video if you like Don to Don. So like usual, I'm going to touch on the core aspects of the chapter that stood out, and for the rest I'm going to touch on in the chapter review, because there's things I do want to look up in regards to this chapter, because there's long form storytelling at play here that connects stuff from Boruto Naruto Next Generation, Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, as well as Naruto's final 4 volumes, volume 70, volume 71, 72, and Naruto Gaiden. The connective tissue on the plot points is pretty insane in that regard. Patrons in the Patreon Discord server, you have an idea of where I'm going to be taking this, because we did spitball earlier this morning. I'm 98% certain, but I gotta go back and reread some of the pages that I folded down in my physical copies of the manga volume. So jumping right into it, Kawaki versus Jura continues in this chapter, and for the most part the fight goes the way that you expected it, but Ikimoto does manage to give us a pretty good subversion of expectations here. So on one hand, just keeping in line with how the trope for power-ups occur in battle shonen, whenever a character gets a shiny new power, even if it's just for a little while, you get a chance to see them shine without interruption, even if the enemy's stronger than them. And that's what happens in the first part of this chapter. Kawaki is battling a one-legged Jura, and he's showing off the ability in 4K for Amado and Sumire, who are watching through the ninja tech in Kawaki's body. Because a reminder, Kawaki is a cyborg. A cyborg is not an android. Cyborgs are humans with mechanical enhancements. There are no androids in Boruto, so Amado can see through his eyes on his computer screen. Sumire gets the impression that Kawaki might be able to win, but Amado isn't a fool enough to think that. But to be fair to Sumire, Kawaki's doing a really good job here. He's rushing in on Jura and he's landing a few quick hits on him, and at one point he does something that we never saw Jigen or Ishiki do, which is he takes that bow staff, which is the chakra rod that he's fighting with, and he's using it for melee purposes. Kawaki combines it with this karma seal to start shooting point blank range chakra blasts through the staff itself, in a really nasty set of combos hit Jura that suddenly make me want a proper fighting game produced by the Naruto production committee, something that is a better improved version of the Naruto Ultimate Ninja game series, not to be confused with Ultimate Ninja Storm, different game series, or the Clash of Ninja series for Naruto, because those combos, they were sweet. And the use of Kawaki that he could have shooting out chakra blasts as a range fighter, or in how he did in the chapter where you can combine it with close range, there's a lot of potential there. This guy's slamming his chakra rod into Jura's liver, and then he's shooting chakra through the end of the staff itself to blow the guy's torso off. If you're a video game head like me, you definitely see that and you realize that could be nasty in a fighting game. Now, Kawaki is putting it all out there, and he's going pretty deep into his bag, showing that he's a better matchup against Jura than Boruto was. Kawaki's using Sukuna Hikona to dodge Jura's attacks. He's combining chakra disruption cubes with his attacks, though interestingly enough, a suppressed Jura, which he suppressed in this chapter, he does appear to be capable of damaging one of the cubes. But Kawaki instantaneously is summoning those cubes to drop it as a way to try to get an opening on Jura. It was pretty clever and it was quick thinking. When Jura fires a Bijudama at Kawaki, we see the benefits of a properly mastered karma seal being used, because Kawaki absorbs the Bijudama like it's nothing, but Jura proves he's one step ahead of him by already having another attack plan in place. He's behind Kawaki before Kawaki can fully react. For a moment, you start thinking Kawaki's got a chance to win, but then the story makes it abundantly clear through several statements this is not the case. Case in point, how Amado's telling Sumire, hey, put those pom-poms down. He's not going to win this fight. But then you have Boruto and Kawaki's words from the flashback that come back to bite you. So we see an extension of what happened in chapter 15 when they were speaking. Kawaki and even Boruto, they know that even with Kawaki having these upgrades, he stands no chance. And this entire fight was basically built around the premise that Kawaki buys time for Boruto to lock onto the flying Raijin markers so that they can teleport away to safety, because that is Boruto's glaring weakness with the flying Raijin. Whereas Minato and Tobirama could have teleported long distances in a second, Boruto needs a literal minute to lock in on long distances, according to the official Boruto database entry that we got several months ago that compared and contrasted Boruto and Minato's flying Raijin. Now, all of Kawaki's efforts at this point in the chapter is basically to buy Boruto the time he needs so that they can escape, which that speaks volumes to how strong Jura is, especially given how Kawaki was certain before the fight even began that he would not be able to bring him down, even if it was he and Boruto teaming up, because the small measure of power that he sensed when Jura hit him with those two-piece combos that was as crispy as some Popeye's chicken, Kawaki knew Jura's full power was full above them, which goes back to concepts from Naruto. We've seen characters able to determine strength even when someone's holding back from only a simple exchange. Now, that might piss some Kawaki fans off, and I've already seen some people saying he's low-key getting Vegeta treatment, brand new power unleashed. He gets in a few hits and then he gets trolled right away after you thought that he was going to win. I don't agree with that. Unlike with what we saw with Vegeta several times, Kawaki is still conscious. He's not sleepy time, and his own arrogance didn't get in his way. Kawaki and Jura did produce a few aura moments between Jura pulling out a book to read as the fight's going on after Kawaki does all this damage, and then sitting on a throne, a literal throne of tree roots that has him positioned above Kawaki, which is further meant to symbolize the distance between them, and Kawaki flipping the middle finger to Jura. There's a lot of meme material in this chapter and just aura gold in general. Now, that's what makes this whole sequence good, if you can take your feelings out of it. So if you're a Kawaki fan, you've got to see him show off his combat skill and be proud. But it's also worth noting that this chapter does drive home again how much of a monster Jura is, because we both hear Kawaki say they can't team up and defeat Jura, and even after everything Kawaki did, if they could have killed Jura by teaming up, they would have done it, because Jura is a global level threat. The fact that they didn't do it means they knew that they could not defeat him. But we also see it in how Ikimoto has Jura just aura farming midway through the chapter, putting him on a throne above Kawaki, showing that he also could have healed his injuries that he sustained in all these battles at any given point, and just outright being unserious, pulling out that book to read and do research after the fight started with Kawaki. That's a nasty habit of his that he got from Code and Ishiki, and it is still bleeding through. But what's interesting here is that whereas Code and Ishiki and just Jigen in general, they had a tendency to play around with whoever they're fighting with, Jura takes it to a different level, and it's because of a very dangerous personality trait that he has, a personality flaw, which is curiosity. Now, I said this 2 years ago, based on how we saw Jura behaving. He reminded me of Cell from Dragon Ball a lot. Cell and Miriam, but Miriam obviously from Hunter x Hunter, but Cell a lot. Which Ikimoto, being a self-admitted Dragon Ball fan, and Boruto Part 1 and Part 2 having several nods to Dragon Ball to a point I could do a whole video breaking it down, and the paneling being the closest thing that we've had to the Dragon Ball style in the manga, including Toriyama's own successor, Toyotaro. The vibes are 100% intentional here. The same way Kishimoto, as a Togashi fanboy, would pay homage to Togashi in remaking some of the concepts from Yu Yu Hakusho. As the Boruto version of Cell, which that's Jura, with some very loose tweaks made to him, he has the tendency to fight down to the level of the person he's battling, just as Cell tended to do. Cell could have easily killed Vegeta, yet he let Vegeta get his attacks off, including a final flash that blew half his body off, and against Goku, he purposely dragged out the fight despite having the capacity to kill him because he wasn't anywhere near full power. He doesn't use full power until Gohan goes Super Saiyan 2, which I want some of you guys to pay attention to the panels, because I've had some of you guys ask me, hey, how are you saying that Ikimoto is similar to Dragon Ball's manga paneling? This is how. This is very much what Ikimoto does. Not on the same level, but that's what he does, including the also controversial speed lines. Jura fought down to Himawari's level when they fought, and he eventually got bored and began using her as a test subject for Bijudamas. He fought down to Boruto's level, and once he got annoyed that Boruto cut his leg off, he knocked him out with 5 hits, meaning he could have did that at any given point, and he was going to kill him in one blast because he was holding back. Against Kawaki, he let Kawaki get his attacks off. Like Cell let Goku get all of his attacks off, but whereas Cell was a case of a Saiyan battle bloodlust taking over since Cell had Goku's cells, Jura is a case of curiosity because the dialogue makes it clear he began to realize that love can power characters up, and he was curious as to why, because he's seeing a repeating trend, which is why he's aura farming midway in the chapter by flexing, hey fam, I could have healed myself at any given moment. Those attacks didn't do nothing to me. And he's stating to Kawaki it's not his intention to fight to the death because he has questions he wants answered. He basically did the same thing he did to Boruto. Once he was like, okay, I got an idea how strong you are, start answering me some questions. That's basically what happened here. Now, this leads to a couple of timeline changing moments occur, and we see the downside of what Kashin Koji was warning Boruto about. Jura now knows that Naruto is alive, and he makes it clear his goal is to consume Naruto on top of Himawari, and it's for 2 reasons. Naruto still serves as an intermediary for the remaining Biju, which is consistent with what we were told in Naruto's manga after Hagoromo took back the chakra seals. And Himawari has Kurama's chakra currently. Jura is putting the pieces together for a very dangerous puzzle that goes beyond just exposing Kawaki didn't kill Naruto, but one that directly connects Himawari and Naruto for something bigger I'll touch on in the review. The other thing that we learn is that the timeline change, it's even more drastic than what Boruto might have anticipated, because Kashin Koji tells Ada that she's being invited as a special guest to the next Mamushi party, and he's coming to her with baby oil for a flight to Mamushi Island, but this time they won't have the Mamushi list with her name on it because that list never existed, and if it did exist, it was made by those haters Konohamaru and Code, to which if you get those references, you are now officially my favorite viewer on the channel. But jokes aside, Ada is now being targeted by Mamushi, and it's directly because Boruto changed the timeline from what Kashin Koji deemed to be a good future to now one that is a bad future. So now they're having to scramble to try to change things yet again because Ada cannot be captured. Somewhere in a pocket dimension, Kashin Koji has a whole dimension of monkeys that are typing hashtag Boruto shit on whatever the Boruto version of Twitter is in that universe, because Boruto screwed up the timeline. There's more in this chapter, but I'm saving that for the review, which the review should be out on the day of the official release this month, which is the 17th, but it might be the 18th if the editor needs another day to cook. So while you wait for that, check out my new Dandadan video on my Anime Explain channel, which again is safe for anime only fans of Dandadan, or click here to check out more videos from Naruto Explained.